Welcome to BNEWS Weekly. I'm Phil Gallagher along with BNEWS producer Sydney Bowles, BNEWS reporters Tad Stefanak, Chris Flaherty, John Vias, and Robert Paris, Gretchen Carey with the community calendar, Peter Brown with weather, and Anthony Matos with sports. Thank you for joining us. Burlington Town Administrator was back in the studio this week for his monthly administrator update. He said he'd already been hard at work on warrants for May's town meeting and on next year's budget. Sagarino also said he's excited about progress on the MWRA connection and on work installing PFAS filters at the Mill Pond Reservoir. Here are his comments.
The PFAS filters are just about in place and borderline will may be operational within the next week or two.
Wow.
However, we won't be able to call ourselves PFAS free at that time. At that time, the Mass DEP, Environmental Protection, will do some testing of the solution just to make sure that it's advertising. It's working as advertised in terms of removing the PFAS and confirming all that. We believe it will be. It's been tested previously, but we won't be able to actually have a ribbon cutting or call ourselves PFAS free probably until early May, and we're actually looking forward to that.
Paul also added he's excited to see how planning for Burlington's 225th birthday shapes up, and he even mentioned there might be a cake. No word yet on whether that will be chocolate or vanilla. There are 45 people running for town meeting in this year's local election coming up on April 1st. 35 of those are running for re-election and 10 would be first-timers. BNews reached out to those town meeting hopefuls about why they wanted the job and heard back from 4 of them. Retired podiatrist David Alper, running in District 1, said he'd been on town meeting in Belmont for 32 years before moving to Burlington, and he wanted to serve his new community in the same way. Lifelong Burlington resident and Burlington Police Traffic Sergeant Peter Abascarone said he wanted to draw on his experience with the police to work on infrastructure and road safety. Software engineer Alex Rutfield moved to Burlington last May. He said he wanted to make sure his neighbors' voices were heard, and he's particularly interested in making sure there's enough housing for younger families like his to enjoy the perks of living in Burlington. And Blaise Lieber, a chemist who's lived in Burlington for 5 years, says he wants to get involved in solving PFAS and water quality issues. Visually impaired voters will have access to secure online voting options in April 1st election. The system is operated by the company Democracy Live and has been rolling out gradually since the passage of the Votes Act last June. Voters receive a personalized login and can access the same ballot as sighted voters. The system may also be beneficial for voters who have difficulty using their hands. Voters who are interested in the system can contact the town clerk's office at vote@burlington.org. Election workers are hard at work getting ready for April 1st. BNews reporter Chris Flaherty visited an election worker training session in town and brings us this report.
As April 1st approaches, Town Clerk Amy Warfield is in the midst of training workers for the annual town election.
Basically what we try to do is review the basics. A lot of times there are people who've been doing it for a number of years and give them the chance to kind of teach us in terms of what the steps are. And then for anybody who's new, they get a chance to learn it. And then oftentimes what we do, like in this evening's training, was to focus on one particular area, which is something that with write-ins that we deal with all the time.
Warfield says communication is key when assisting voters at the polls.
Understanding what the voter is trying to ask you. They don't always know how to say, I want to write somebody in. They say things like, I'm going to put somebody's name on the ballot. And kind of asking that next question is a lot of times the thing that I find people are stumbling with.
Public participation makes all the difference in local elections.
I love all my election workers because they work really hard to be there for all day to give the voters the chance to be able to vote. Town elections are just so important. In a local election, you're voting for the people who are going to be spending the money in town on whatever they have determined to be good or whatever the residents have determined they need. So it's really important to turn out for a town election.
Until next time, this is Chris Flaherty for BNews Weekly.
Principals at Burlington's 4 elementary schools told the school committee this week that additional mental health staff was a priority for the district's youngest children. The request came at a marathon budget meeting Tuesday in which principals and department heads shared their initial asks with the committee. Each elementary school currently has 2 guidance counselors who can help with lower need students, but the principals said they need social workers or adjustment counselors to help students who have more intense support needs. Here's Memorial Elementary School Patricia English Sand.
We knew before COVID that the needs and mental health challenges for children, very young children, has been on the rise. I know that all school districts, this district in particular, has really looked at the social emotional needs of children. Certainly COVID just sort of exacerbated that. And so we're seeing that demand and that need, and it's as critical as teaching kids to read, right? To make sure they're feeling safe and they have the skills to navigate their school day. And for all children to feel like they can feel safe and they're building those skills at school. And to my last point, the earlier we get to children and the earlier, sort of like with reading, the earlier we get to kids and we help them build their coping skills, the better their long-term mental health outcomes are and the happier their life outcomes are.
The proposed budget, sometimes called the superintendent's budget, came in at $63.7 million, about $2 million more than the district can spend according to the guidelines. So the school committee will have to prioritize needs before the final budget can be approved. At the same budget meeting, high school principal Mark Sullivan had his own substantial proposal, an expanded alternative education model targeting Burlington's growing population of immigrant and refugee students. The program would be an expansion of the existing Simon Youth Academy, which offers evening high school classes for juniors and seniors who work a minimum of 25 hours a week. The exact shape of the program is not certain, but Principal Sullivan said it could include a component of a newcomer academy, an intense 1 or 2 year program for newly arrived immigrant and refugee students with limited or interrupted formal education. Here's Principal Sullivan.
It's not only just the interrupted education. These students are coming with lots of different trauma, just the experiences of getting here. The students are working many hours a week. They come with a whole set, and I know a lot of you had the chance to meet some of our friends on Friday, so coming to us with a lot of different challenges.
There are currently 64 English language learners in Burlington High School. The Burlington robotics team faced its toughest challenge yet in the first district North Shore competition. BNEWS reporter John Vias has this story.
And a link completed down on the blue line. It's 11:53 Timberwolves. They're probably ranked number 9.
Burlington High School's robotics team, DevilBotz 2876, traveled to Reading Memorial High School on Saturday, March 18th to compete in the New England First District North Shore competition, a day for the hard-working team to show off their new robot and compete with other robots created by students across the North Shore. BNews reporter Tia Poirier spoke with members of the team about the competition and their jobs for the day.
So my role during the game is to advise Adi on where he should pick up different pieces and where he should place the pieces. I'm basically Adi's helper, so I look around the field while Adi's looking at the robot to drive it.
So as a driver, I have to execute the strategy that Sanjeev makes with the other captains to the best performance that we can do, and then I have to drive the robot all around the field, placing the pieces wherever I can.
Probably my favorite part is being able to be on a team and really help build something that serves a purpose and be able to use it into arenas and really get to see it in use, and it's just really cool.
We have a lot of very passionate members, so everyone wants to congratulate our driver, make sure that our robot is okay, and also they're very important people. Everyone has a big role on our team, so everyone wants to make sure that the robot is fine and do whatever test they can to make sure that our robot is ready to go for our next match.
The team ranked 42nd place out of 227 in the first Robotics New England District, FIRST being abbreviated as for Inspiration and Recognition of Science and Technology. You can catch full coverage of the DevilBotz Rise to Victory in the New England First District North Shore competition, coming soon to BCAT's public channel. From Reading Memorial High School in Reading, Massachusetts, along with Tia Poirier, this is John Vias for BNews.
The art students of Burlington High School have brought their talents to the Lexington Arts and Crafts Society once again for Lex Art's 27th Regional High School Art Exhibit. John Vias brings us this report.
Inspiration sparks the mind of the young artist every day. and is celebrated annually by the Lexington Arts and Crafts Society. Lex Art held their 27th annual Regional High School art exhibit on Sunday, March 5th, featuring a brilliant gallery of art from the students of Burlington High School, among other schools, within the surrounding area, showcasing a variety of different forms of art.
Programs offer different things. And, for example, there might be a school that offers jewelry making. We don't offer that here, but we do have a really great digital arts program, so we focus on that. We all have programs that have honors level students in them or are very advanced students, and so it's great to see what we focus on in those different schools at those upper levels.
It was really fun going, having my family go, and it was a nice little accomplishment, being able to see all my pieces up there, and it was also really fun seeing the way people were reacting to my pieces. There was this one woman who, just random woman who took a picture of one of my collages, and it was, really nice, it just made me feel good, like an accomplishment,
These BHS students are hard at work for 3 one-hour classes a week and spending countless hours after school in the classroom, perfecting their craft from drawing to painting. Some students will even spend weeks on a project to make sure their imagination shines on canvas.
Range is quite a lot in terms of how long a project takes. In terms of preparing the work, that can take quite a while. We do have to measure their pieces and cut mat board and prepare them for hanging, which for each piece it takes a while. And if we have a large number of pieces like we did this year, it could take weeks to get everything ready.
The exhibit also helps to raise funds for Lex Art's high school scholarship program. Lex Art will also hold classes, memberships, and other offerings, giving the community a chance to gain some hands-on experience in the world of art, from painting to pottery.
It makes for a great environment in which to showcase student work. The event itself, the reception, was very celebratory. We had a lot of people show up, and it's great just to connect with families.
From room 215 at Burlington High School, this is John Vias for BNews.
High school seniors who live in Burlington can now apply for the Town of Burlington Scholarship Fund. Funding for the program comes from voluntary donations that residents can make when they pay their taxes. Qualified applicants must be going to an accredited college, university, or technical school, and awards will be announced at the Burlington High School Annual Scholarship Awards Night. Interested students can find an application by visiting the BHS Guidance Office or by emailing scholarships@burlington.org. The local recruiting office of the United States Air Force and Space Force is seeking to honor 10 of the best educators in New England, including Burlington. The agencies are asking students to submit a 3-paragraph essay describing how their favorite teacher demonstrates the value of excellence, service, and integrity. The contest is open through April 14th. For more information, contact Air Force Technical Sergeant Kimberly Nagel. It might not be quite golf weather, although we did play this past Tuesday, but you can still practice your swing at Burlington's X Golf, an indoor golf simulator. Robert Paris has this report, and I'm in there in a cameo, not with a great shot, unfortunately.
Grab your clubs and head over to X Golf, a simulator where you are right on the course without having to worry about the weather. Phil Gallagher had a chat with the owner, John Langevin.
It starts with the golf simulators themselves. And the first thing I found was the technology in the golf simulators at X Golf was, I thought, superior to anything else that was out there. The automatic teeing system and automatic ball collection I thought was a really nice touch. But the accuracy of the system, the data that's available, I thought was ideal. So I thought the technology here was the right foundation.
Last year, the establishment opened its doors in town and started off slow. But in recent months, they have ramped up business since then.
So we had a great first year, and our second year is doing better than our first year did, as a matter of fact. For all intents, the simulators are full during the peak season from the time we open in the morning until the time we close at night. There's usually some availability earlier in the week during the day, but the sims are pretty full all day long. You can book tee times about 2 weeks in advance on our reservation system. A lot of times those slots just disappear quickly. There are people that kind of grab the early spots as early as they can. So certainly anyone wanting to grab a tee time, I'd say think of it 2 weeks ahead. rather than 2 hours ahead.
You can watch the full interview with Phil and John at bcattv.org/topics. This is Robert Paris for B News.
The Burlington Food Pantry, People Helping People, is teaming up with the nonprofit We Care this Easter season. They're creating Easter baskets for kids in need. A generous community member donated the baskets, so now that's all that's left is to fill them with candy and toys. People Helping People says they're seeking donations by April 1st so they can distribute the baskets the week of April 2nd. All across Burlington's backyards and protected wilderness, you can find yourself stumbling across wetlands, unique ecosystems that can help protect us from flooding. BNEWS reporter Tad Stefanak spoke to Burlington Conservation Administrator John Keeley about protecting wetlands in our community.
All over the planet and in Burlington, the wetlands are a distinct ecosystem that are key to improving water quality.
So wetlands are really important for a lot of reasons, and the Conservation Commission protects them. A lot of people have issues with flooding and water problems in town. Wetlands are like big sponges. So wetlands and the vegetation in them just suck up a bunch of water. They infiltrate it, the trees take up a lot of water, so they clean the water and they help reduce flooding in neighborhoods. So we really need people to help us protect them. There's a lot of confusion. A lot of people are confused. Unfortunately, some realtors are as well. What we call conservation land is land owned by the town and under the care, custody, control of the Conservation Commission. So like the Mill Pond Conservation Area or the Sawmill Brook Conservation Area. Wetlands can be either owned by the town or they could also be privately owned. So you could have in the back of your lot where you live wetlands, and some people call that conservation land. It's not officially conservation land. It's protected under Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act and it's protected under our town bylaws, so it's protected, but it's not technically what we call conservation land. A really good way to find wetlands is by follow topography. If you go down to the lowest point anywhere in Burlington, almost, you're going to find a wetland. Burlington's probably 15 or 20% wetland. Anytime you're doing any kind of construction project in Burlington, it's a good idea to check. We do have an online permitting system, so we basically catch everything anyway. If you're near wetlands and you're doing any sort of construction, you are probably going to need to file with the Conservation Commission, and that's under a wetland permit. But the Conservation Department also manages the stormwater program. Oftentimes, if you're doing construction and there are no wetlands nearby, you still may need a permit with the Conservation Department. FEMA actually has a floodplain map viewer where you can actually type in your address and it'll give you an official determination from FEMA, which is the federal agency which manages floodplain, and it'll tell you your status. If you're building an addition or anything like that where there's financing involved, you'll need flood insurance. You'll need to file with the Conservation Commission for any project in the floodplain, and you'll also have to work with the building department because there's special building code requirements for floodplain construction.
Protecting Burlington's wetlands contributes to the global water cycle and is a great way to keep an eye on nature.
Now let's turn to the weather with Peter Brown and stay tuned for your community calendar with Gretchen Carey.
Well, hello everyone, this is Peter Brown with future weather for the next 7 days. Here we are heading in towards the first full week of spring. I know spring officially arrived here last Monday. Now, starting up here on Friday, we should be seeing temperatures at this time of the year in the low 50s. Going to be about 5 degrees cooler than that. Temperatures going to be staying in the mid to upper 40s out there. As we round out the period, getting in towards next Thursday, our average highs again start to pick up pretty fast. We start to warm our temperatures up each week by quite a bit, by usually 3 or 4 degrees on average. Looking at our temperature map, again, nothing too surprising. This is pretty much what's been par for the course over the past month or so. Temperatures are going to be average to below average, I'm thinking, here in the Burlington area. And looking at our precipitation chances, they're looking at us having above average precipitation. Unfortunately, I'm kind of seeing that as well. Looks like we're going to have kind of a wet go of it out there as we go in through the next 7 days. Again, starting out in the mid to upper 40s on Friday. Then Saturday is going to be a messy day out there, just rainy, chilly, raw day out there. Temperatures struggling to get out of the low 40s. We could actually see maybe some mixed snow flurries in there early on Saturday morning. Keep an eye on that. Nothing to accumulate. And of course, that's going to continue, I think, a little bit into early Sunday. We may see some showers trying to hold on here into Sunday. But again, not really a great first weekend to spring in the Burlington area. Now, getting in towards next week, starting out the work week, going to see fair weather continue. Then we're going to see that chance of rain try to get in here as we get into the latter portions on Tuesday. It might rain actually fairly appreciably here Tuesday night into Wednesday. Again, pretty chilly, temperatures only in the mid-40s out there, and thereafter a strong, powerful cold front comes through after that storm departs us on Wednesday, and that's going to knock our temperatures down into the 30s, I think, on Thursday. And it looks like that cool weather is going to be here to stay with us probably, unfortunately, right now, looking like into the first week of April. So don't put those sweaters and jackets away quite yet out there in the Burlington area. So everyone, get out there, enjoy the weather, and have a great week.
Hey everyone, I'm Gretchen Carey, and this is your community calendar. On March 28th through April 3rd, the Burlington Parks and Recreation Department will be having an event called Excursion Around the Parks. The event is for Burlington residents only, and pre-registration is required. To register, go to burlingtonrecreation.org. On March 30th from 7 to 10 p.m., the Made in Burlington store will be having an Evening with Angels featuring spiritual medium Laura Lee. Pre-registration is required. To register, go to the following website. On April 1st, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., the Burlington Public Library will be having a food drive to benefit people helping people. Check the list of items needed at burlingtonpubliclibrary.org. I'm Gretchen Carey, and that was your Community Calendar.
Let's check in with the athletes in Burlington schools. Anthony Matos has this wrap-up.
Hey everyone, I'm Anthony Matos in this weekly sports report. Spring sports have returned to Burlington High School, and BNEWS sports reporter Robert Perez has a scoop on how the Red Devils are getting ready for their seasons.
The weather outside the door is turning in our favor as athletes at BHS are on the fields and courts again for the spring. I went around town during the tryouts and talked to a variety of teams about how they are preparing for the upcoming season.
We have the most amount of girls that have had tryout ever in my history of coaching tennis. We have 43 trying out this year. It's good. You know, tennis is popular.
I'm very excited to be back here, and it's a gorgeous day to start too, which is even better. We are very excited to be here. We just came off a great season last year and looking to roll right into another great one this year. We did lose a lot of seniors, but we have a great young team and really looking forward to seeing what they bring to the table this year.
Just kind of getting the routine right now, having everyone get back in the court, kind of work out the rust. You know, we got about 18 matches this year, so it's great to have plenty of depth. We have a lot of returners, a couple new guys, so it's always good to have new guys. So we have a mixture of experience and new guys, which is great.
We're just going to see where we end up. Hopefully by the end of the year, we're playing as the best that this team can play. And that's all I ever want, is that this team, whatever team it is for that year, is playing as the best that they can at that moment in time.
We have a nice little team, I think, that we're going to show this year, so excited to be back. All really strong non-league games, plus our Middlesex League games, so it's going to be a really tough, this is probably one of the toughest schedules we've ever had put together. So
we're looking forward to all the returning players from last year coming back and a whole lot of new players. Our schedule is packed. Last year, as our first year, we only had 15 matches. This year we have full 20 matches and 2 scrimmages, so our schedule is jam-packed the entire season, and it's going to be exciting.
In terms of getting on our field, yeah. I mean, you know, looking forward to that. We got a new batting cage being built over there. We're excited about that. That's going to provide great opportunity for our guys. You know, get some working on the field on the side, even on a maybe inclement weather day. But, you know, again, it's a resource that's really helpful to baseball teams. So
the kids are excited. We have a lot of numbers out. We're almost at 400 kids out playing sports this spring. So, I mean, we're really in a good spot. Things are going well, and I think people are just excited to get it going.
I'm Robert Paris for BNews Sports.
Red Devil alumni Marina Callahan and the women's basketball team at Assumption College competed in the Elite Eight in the NCAA Division II playoff tournament on March 20th against University of Minnesota Duluth at St. Joseph Civic Center in Missouri. The Assumption Greyhound season came to an end after a UMD defeated the team 61-41. We'll have a feature on next week with Marina and her former coach Pam McKay on her sophomore season at Assumption. For more Red Devil action, go to bcattv.org/sports and check out our Twitter page at BNews Sports. That's all for now. I'm Anthony Matos. Back to you guys in the studio.
And as always, we're sharing a photo of the week sent in by viewers like you. This week's photo comes from Steve Morin. A waning moon hangs over the initials of Burlington seniors who are heading on their next adventures this year. Steve, thanks for sending that in. We'd love to share your photos. Send them in to us at bcat@bcattv.org with the subject line Photo of the Week. And that's it from the news desk here at BNEWS Weekly. I'm Phil Gallagher along with Sydney Bowles, Tad Stefanak, Robert Paris, John Vias, Chris Flaherty, Gretchen Carey, Peter Brown, and Anthony Matos. Thank you for joining us.